Lagos Land Use Chart law generates more controversies. Lawmakers speak on issues raised by concerned residents. Lagos Assembly Chief Whip, other members join Governor Ambode in symbolic walk against sexual and gender-based violence in Lagos. Plus, Lagos lawmaker holds free 6-week medical intervention for tooth extractions, filling, scaling, and polishing for residents. We have details coming up. So much is going on in spite of the lawmakers' break from plenary activities. It's always a delight to have you join us on Lagos Parliament. I am Abimbola Agbebi.
Get closer to your legislators. See them in action as they deliberate on moving the state forward. Watch updates on weekly events, presentation of bills, passage of laws, adoption of resolutions, and many more. Also, get a chance to meet the lawmaker of the week and watch the legislators. Observe plenary in Yoruba language. Lagos Parliament, every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. on TVC News Nigeria. Lagos Parliament, bringing the legislature closer to you.
The Lagos Land Use Chart law has continued to generate reactions from members of the public. The Nigerian Bar Association Ikeja branch recently led a protest to the State House of Assembly in Alausa, calling for a review of the law. It was a protest led by members of the Nigerian Bar Association Ikeja branch and other civil society organizations. The lawmakers had their hands full trying to calm the apprehensive crowd as the protesters insisted the gates leading to the State House must be opened. Prevailing on the legislators and some members of the executive, the gates were flung open and their demands were made clear. They want the Lagos Land Use Chart law reviewed. They also claim that failure on the part of the government to seek adequate consultation from the people is responsible for the hues and cry now witnessed across the states.
Lagos ordinarily is an expensive place to live, and only the elite rich consider it a comfortable zone of existence. We urge our governor to listen to wise counsel over these excessive taxes your government has imposed on the people and review same downwards considerably. Please suspend, we are appealing to him now, the application of the land use charge law now for immediate review after extensive consultation with stakeholders.
Responding to the issues raised, the majority leader of the House, Sanai Agumbiade, assured the protesters of the House's readiness to address their concerns.
The 40 members of the House of Assembly with the Speaker will look into it, and I'm sure we will communicate our position to you. Thanks for speaking for the people. Thanks for being orderly, and thanks for being peaceful. Thank you very much.
The Lagos Land Use Chart law was passed in January 2018 and assented to by the governor in February. The Lagos Land Use Chart law passed by the State House of Assembly earlier in the year, which was thereafter assented to by Governor Akinwumi Ambode, has in recent times generated reactions from members of the public. On the dust thrown by the contents of this law, the House Committee Chairman on Information, Honorable Tunde Braimo, responded this way. All right, sir, let's start this way. The Lagos State Land Use Chart law has in recent times generated stiff reactions from members of the public. How would you react to this with the kind of reactions we are getting from the public on what this law seeks to achieve, talking about the many rates taxes Lagos residents will now have to pay compulsorily?
We saw merit in it. That was why we passed this into law. We agree with the executive that within 2001, when the extant land use charge law was passed into law, and 2017, when it was proposed for a repeal and reenactment, there was no review whatsoever in the charges or rates payable on tenements and properties in Lagos State. We agreed that there was a need for government to shore up its revenue base. We agreed that government, in doing that, had one face, and put some ethos and pathos, possible empathy into it. We agreed that it should be progressive, that it should be something that is mutually adaptable to each and personal to everybody, and not a general first swoop. We are amenable to dialogue, we are amenable to reasoning, we are amenable to new vistas being shown to us in respect of the law. But at the same time, the law is not made to decorate the bookshelves. The law is made to be obeyed. Law has two instruments of persuasion and of coercion. We choose to ignore coercion this time around. We want to embrace persuasion. By appealing to our people, even in the law says, okay, you can have complaints. In spite of all the reliefs that we introduce to the law, reliefs of pensioners not paying anything on an owner-occupier building, the reliefs of having 15% taken off if you pay within 15 days of service of the notice on you, the relief of 10% off for handicapped people, the reliefs of depreciation of the building, so many other reliefs that are applicable. That's why I say tax is personal. It's personal to each person, each tenement, each building, each property has its own, because the facts are different. If you are an occupier, you may have a tenant living with you. I may be an occupier solely occupying the place. You may be a pensioner. I may be a septuagenarian, because septuagenarians too have their own reliefs under the law of 10%. So too many reliefs are available to, personal cases. So in spite of all of that, if somebody still feels there is an area to a further explore, there is appeal tribunal that was created by this as was assembly, 3 appeal tribunals across the state. There is also the complaint and monitoring arm of the Ministry of Finance, and of course, they raised the public petitions and human rights apparatus of the House of Assembly to apply to through the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. The House of Assembly is ready at all times to look into issues, but the law is meant to be obeyed. 25% has to be paid of whatever is charged, and complaints can be had according to the law, so that you don't lose other reliefs that may come after the adjudication one way or the other. I want to appeal to our people. Lagosians have been known to be progressive. They have been known to want the best for us. They have been known to be communal and congenial, because we have to come together, pull resources together, so that we may have a commonwealth to tap from. Security would not be a common purpose. People having personal security, private militia in their houses is barbaric, it's uncalled for. People having borehole in their houses, borehole water is not even good enough for people. It's acidic and all of that. So we need to do things, institute things properly, so that all of us can have a proper commonwealth and do things together, so that water corporation could be enabled to proliferate water supply all over the state. We need to enhance our security system, Lagos Neighborhood Safety Corps, IRS, other security apparatus. We need enough funds to be able to generally and properly equip these outfits to maximize or optimize their functions. So I want to beg Lagosians to please cooperate with this government. The government will not be adamant, or will not be unnecessarily stoic in engaging the people. The people are masters. They are the ultimate sovereigns. The power belongs to them. We know. They were just delegates of the people. We are just representatives of the people. And we must reflect their yearnings and aspirations in whatever we do. But in doing this, we have considered their best interests, and this is what we have come out with. But if the people still want to show us new vistas, we will be ready.
Concerned residents of the state who, of course, are now calling for a review of this particular law. Sir, as the House spokesperson.
Well, I will tell you that's why it's a golden rule of common law, of legal jurisprudence and legal theory, that ignorance of the law is no excuse. This event of this public hearing was advertised in the in 2 major newspapers, which can be provided, and so we did not control circulation of newspapers. And this, apart from that, I am the head of the information machinery of this assembly, and I'm aware that each time we have a major event like that in the assembly, we do disseminate this information through our various news apparatus, the radio houses, the television stations, people in commerce, people in industry, people ordinary negotiations, everybody from all walks of life should take more than a personal interest in what the legislation does. When people see Lagos House of Assembly, they just don't even look that way. They think it's not important. Whereas whatever happens there will be binding, whether we like it or not. Constitutionally, whatever the House of Assembly does will be binding on all of us. So we should take interest in what the legislation does. To say to people who are not aware is a reflection. I don't blame anybody because we have over-militarized.
A lot of them actually believe this particular law is punitive. Government will get more money while the poor will get poorer.
The poor will not get poorer in the end of the final analysis, and government will get more money. And the law is not punitive. I disagree with that. There's no punishment in the law. The law, in a way, is just redistributing income. Is a progressive law taken from those who are presumed quote unquote to have to those who don't have. For example, if pensioners don't pay under the law at all, they are excused from paying. Septuagenarians have 10% discount. People who pay early have discount. Disabled people have discount. Admitted or derelict houses have discount. All these things are personal. It's not something you can appraise on the first swoop. How do you want the evaluation is not done by government. The evaluation is done by the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. It's an empirical valuation. It's not a subjective one. It's an objective one. These people are members of the society too. It's a trust issue because you see, the government does not do the valuation. The government has enough apparatus to do the valuation itself. The government does not do it. Let the people who are professionals do it. So that's what is happening. We should be able to trust ourselves. These are products of our society too. These valuers and surveyors of Nigeria, they are the people handling this. They are a pressure group too. They live within the society too. They are going to pay part of this rates too and charges too. So all these things, we should give credit to this government for being empirical, being scientific, and being analytical as possible in this matter. But what I would just say is that we need to, it's a trust issue, really. At the end of the day, an eye for an eye will make everybody blind. At the end of the day, if you can submit to a commonwealth, we should remember the tenet of how government itself evolved. How did government evolve? Government evolved because we needed to surrender our individual sovereignty to the hands of a few who will manage them for us, so that we can be peaceful and secured, and we can now, on that pedestal, stand to economic prosperity and abundant living.
And what would your final message be to residents of Lagos State with regards to what this State House of Assembly, the Lagos State Parliament, stands for?
We only want to appeal that no government will be happy, no parliament will be delighted to be brought to its knees, made comatose or apostate for no good reason. Because you know, in all agitations, when people say, and it's a commonplace to hear that out of every 12 disciples, there is an Iscariot. Of course, some people have a ulterior motive in saying what they are saying. Some are making political capital of an otherwise pure administrative situation. So some are just trying to, criticize for the sake of criticisms and make political capital out of it. Government is run by courage and not by sentiments. And if every government has to subject itself to the whims, caprices, and vagaries of people all the time, then there will be no movement forward. And instead of moving forward, we may be rolling ourselves backward. If you have taken a step, we should be courageous to move on with it. So this House of Assembly is going to consider that vis-a-vis genuine agitation from the people. So if there's a need for us to review what we have done, of course we will look into it. But if there is no need and we need to continue, we will continue to appeal to our people to let's move forward together. But these things have to be empirically done, and it has to be done in such a way that it's not by violence, it's not by spur of the moment, it's not by fire brigade approach, it's by being scientific, being numbers driven, being figure driven, being scientific about it and empirical, so that we can all see what benefit lies in our actions of today for our future and posterity tomorrow.
Get closer to your legislators. See them in action as they deliberate on moving the state forward. Watch updates on weekly events, presentation of bills, passage of laws, adoption of resolutions, and many more. Also, get a chance to meet the lawmaker of the week and watch the legislators. observe plenary in Yoruba language. Lagos Parliament, every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. on TVC News Nigeria. Lagos Parliament, bringing the legislature closer to you.
It will no longer be business as usual for perpetrators of sexual violence in Lagos. This was the message of a symbolic walk held at the State Secretariat, led by the Lagos State Governor, and which had members of the State House of Assembly in attendance. During the awareness program, Governor Ambode lauded the contributions of the State House of Assembly and the judiciary in enacting the law and the provisions of a sexual offences court to try the suspects.
Say no to domestic violence!
It's a walk that brings together all the three arms of government, executive, legislature and the judiciary. Traditional rulers and students are not left out. Governor Ambode and his wife, Bolanle, are joining them to raise voices against domestic and sexual violence in the state. Ambode said he is on the street to attack the culture which relegates women to the background and forces them to suffer in silence.
In Lagos, we are waging a war against this culture, and we will do everything within our power to transform ours to a culture of equality, respect, and dignity for all. It is a journey of radical transformation, and our government is wholly committed to seeing it through. We have walked the talk as regards fighting sexual and gender-based violence. The Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team executed interventions and initiatives which include easy access to reporting incidents, speedy rescue and access to justice, medical and psychosocial support for survivors, sensitization and policy advocacy, and the establishment of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Trust Fund.
After commending the Lagos State Judiciary and the Lagos State House of Assembly for the enactment of the Protection Against Domestic Violence Law 2007, the Child's Right Law of Lagos State 2015, and the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015, Ambode called for stiffer punishment for rape.
Rape should not be met with light sentencing. The minimum sentence of 25 years is highly recommended. We need new laws which will respond adequately to the nature and occurrences of this era. Domestic violence is a crime and should be treated as such. The Protection Against Domestic Violence Law 2007 should therefore be amended accordingly.
In domestic and sexual violence cases, Nigeria police force are usually the first port of call. Commissioner of Police told us how they've been professional about it.
Even before now, 13 divisions have been earmarked specifically where we have gender deaths, including the State Command headquarters that handle all cases of sexual and domestic violence, because I pay a very high premium on this category of cases for the simple reason that I believe that the women and children are the most vulnerable in our society, and we must do everything possible to protect them.
In 2017, more than 200 sexual violence cases were reported. 68 cases have been reported so far this year, out of which 63 are currently in court for prosecution.
We will also put in place mechanisms to strengthen existing institutions and ensure deterrence of further perpetration of this act. The call for gender parity, gender equality, must move from being a slogan to actualization. As the Honorable Speaker of the House of Assembly, I will continue to ensure that we enact relevant laws that drive equality and protect vulnerable women and girls in our state.
We have decided to pay attention to these vulnerable ones, whether they are children, whether they are women, whether they are men, when it comes to sexual offenses and domestic violence. And it's also an awareness to let them know that they can seek for justice, they don't need to hide anymore, and that people really understand what is happening in society. We need to curb it. We need to make our society safe for everybody.
This governor cares about his people. He is committed to fighting this scourge is committed to protecting the rights of women, children, and the less privileged. That is what this work is. It's sending a very strong message to the world that I'm committed to the people.
No rape! Say no to domestic violence! Say no to domestic violence! Say no to domestic violence!
Lagos Parliament, bringing the legislature closer to you.
Away from that story, some students in various tertiary institutions in Nigeria were beneficiaries of a free JAMB distribution program organized last year by a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly representing Eti-Osa Constituency 2, Honorable Gbolahan Ishao, were recently given a scholarship fund to aid their learning in school. At the program tagged GOI Tertiary Institution Scholarship Scheme held in the Eti-Osa area of Lagos, the students were given a sum of 70,000 naira each by the lawmaker. Gbolahan Ishao urged the new undergraduates to show commitment to their studies so as to come out in flying colors.
One JAMB forms. It's open to as many people as have taken our JAMB, but you are the ones that have come back to us to tell us that you are actually in school. We promised this when we're giving the JAMB forms out. Even this 966 that we've given out, we've promised it as well, that we'll do some form of assistance to the students whenever they get admission. And that is what we are trying to fulfill here today. Congratulations to those of you that have shown up.
When you come to him that you want to further your education or this, you always assist in our community. In fact, we want more Ishaus to come. And God Almighty will give us. And they tell us we are very proud of him.
We solve a problem. We keep coming back because teach me, don't give me fish, teach me to fish. You understand? So this is the beginning. Education changes everything. Take it from me, changes everything. What I keep saying is, we applied for this job. I signed up for it. They didn't come and beg me from my house to come and be House of Assembly. I'm the one that said, I can do it, I can do it. So for as many requests that comes, just keep praying that God will continue to give us the wherewithal to be able to do it. The health program is ongoing. You can see behind us. We used to do it as a composite where we do everything together, but we decided to do it in silos, standalone. You understand? Before we have on the 3 days, blood pressure check, HIV test, hepatitis test, dental, cervical cancer, eye clinic, everything in 3 days. But we're trying to get better in whatever we do. So what we have done is we're putting them in silos. So we're doing the mental health now. It's on for over 2-3 weeks now, if I can remember well. So we want to really solve the problem. We want everybody that comes here to be able to live with the succor that they desire. So you see someone that studied computer science, we give them a laptop, possibly with a printer, depend. Someone that studied catering gets an oven. The tailor gets a sewing machine. Everybody gets something, you understand? So we try as much as possible to do more. These are not short programs of 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We're talking about 6 months program, 9 months program. So they graduate in conjunction with Lagos State. I don't do it alone, I do it with our state, you understand? Lagos State government does a lot. So in conjunction with Lagos State, they do get their certificate and they're able to practice what they've learned. Yes, we also use school bus to carry our younger ones to school. There's school bus running up.
I got the form, did it, and he registered us for the JAMB. I took the JAMB and I got past the cutoff mark and I got the admission. And when I got the admission, they asked us to come back so they can render their little assistance to us. I want to say a very, very big thank you to him. God will continue to enrich his pockets. It would grow more and more and more and more in Jesus' name.
I actually saw the platform outside and I told my mom about it. Then I got the JAMB form. Then I scored 219 in JAMB and we took the form back to the Honorable and we received the message just about 3 days ago about this scholarship and we're here because of the scholarship and we actually got 70K in all from Honorable Gbolahan and I'm happy about that.
And I want to use this medium to thank Honorable Bola Onwuchishal. I pray this will be like the smallest out of what he's going to become, and I believe he's going to aim higher.
Okay. Receive it with the other hand.
And with that, we've come to the end of the program this week. We thank you for watching. Till I come your way again next week, remember you can watch previous episodes of Lagos Parliament on www.youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Abimbola Agbebi. See you next week.